You felt it, haven't you? That moment when you walk into a room and instantly know something's off, even though everyone else seems oblivious. That split second when you can predict exactly how a conversation will unfold before the first word is spoken. That uncanny ability to see through people's facades and understand their true intentions while they're still trying to figure out yours. This isn't luck, coincidence, or some mystical power. This is your introverted intuition, the sixth sense that separates the Sigma male from the rest of the hierarchy. Welcome to a journey that will transform how you understand and harness this extraordinary cognitive gift. Most men stumble through life reactive, emotional, and perpetually surprised by outcomes that you saw coming from miles away. They rely on external validation, social cues, and group consensus to navigate their reality. But you operate on a different frequency entirely. You process information through layers that others can't even perceive, connecting dots that remain invisible to the conventional mind. The Sigma male's introverted intuition isn't just another personality trait. It's your secret weapon in a world that rewards those who can see beyond the obvious. While alpha males command through force and presence and beta males follow through compliance and agreeableness, you influence through insight and strategic positioning. Your power comes not from what you say, but from what you know before others even realize there's something to know. Think about the most successful entrepreneurs, the brilliant strategists, the individuals who consistently seem to be one step ahead of everyone else. What they all share isn't superior intelligence or better resources. It's the ability to perceive patterns and possibilities that escape ordinary observation. They operate from a place of inner knowing that transcends conventional logic and social conditioning. This intuitive advantage manifests in every aspect of your life. In business, you can sense market shifts before the data confirms them. In relationships, you understand people's motivations and future behaviors while they're still presenting their carefully crafted masks. In personal development, you instinctively know which paths lead to growth and which lead to stagnation, even when the logical choice seems to point elsewhere. But here's what most content about intuition gets wrong. They treat it like some abstract mystical concept that you either have or you don't. That's nonsense. Your introverted intuition is a sophisticated cognitive process that can be understood, developed, and weaponized for maximum effectiveness. It's a skill that operates through specific mechanisms, follows identifiable patterns, and produces measurable results when properly calibrated. The journey we're about to embark on will dissect exactly how this mental framework functions, why it gives you such a profound advantage over conventional thinkers, and most importantly, how to amplify its power to levels you never thought possible. We'll explore the neurological foundations that make this possible, the environmental factors that enhance its accuracy, and the practical applications that turn insight into tangible success. By the time you finish this deep dive, you'll understand why your brain naturally gravitates toward complexity while others seek simplicity, why you can predict human behavior with unsettling accuracy, and why traditional goal setting and planning methods feel ineffective for your particular mindset. You'll learn to trust your intuitive hits while developing the discernment to separate genuine insight from wishful thinking. More than that, you'll discover how to use this sixth sense as a strategic advantage in every domain of your life, from career advancement and business development to relationship dynamics and personal growth. You'll understand how to read environments, people, and situations with the precision of a master chess player, seeing 20 moves ahead. If you're ready to unlock the full potential of your most powerful mental faculty, if you're prepared to understand why you've always felt different from the crowd, and if you want to transform your natural intuitive gifts into practical dominance, then subscribe to this channel right now. This isn't just another self-improvement video. This is specialized intelligence for the exceptional few who operate outside conventional frameworks. Hit that notification bell, because what we're about to explore will fundamentally change how you navigate reality itself. The silent observer's advantage. While the masses compete for attention and validation through constant noise, you've discovered something far more powerful: the strategic advantage of silence. This isn't about being shy or socially awkward. This is about operating from a position of informational superiority that only comes from watching, listening, and processing while others reveal themselves completely. The Sigma male's silent observation functions like a sophisticated intelligence gathering system. When you enter any environment, a business meeting, social gathering, or new workplace, your natural inclination is to assess rather than impress. You instinctively position yourself where you can observe maximum information while revealing minimum about yourself. This asymmetric information advantage becomes the foundation for everything that follows. Consider how most people operate in group dynamics. They're focused on projecting their image, securing their position in the hierarchy, and gaining immediate approval. They talk to be heard, react to be seen, and position themselves for short-term social rewards. In their rush to establish themselves, they broadcast their insecurities, motivations, weaknesses, and strategies without realizing it. You, however, recognize that information is the ultimate currency in any interaction. While they're performing, you're collecting data. While they're seeking validation, you're mapping the real power structures. While they're reacting emotionally, you're identifying patterns that reveal how situations will likely unfold. This observational advantage manifests in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You're reading verbal communication, but you're also processing micro-expressions, body language, vocal tonality, and energy shifts. You notice who defers to whom, who seeks approval from whom, and who influences whom through indirect means. You identify the informal hierarchies that exist beneath the official structures. More importantly, you're observing temporal patterns, how people behave differently under stress versus comfort, how their masks slip when they think nobody's watching, how their true priorities emerge through their unconscious behaviors. This temporal mapping gives you predictive capability that appears almost supernatural to those who operate purely in the present moment. The silent observer's advantage extends beyond just understanding people. You're simultaneously assessing environments, systems, and opportunities. In a business context, you notice inefficiencies that others accept as normal. You identify unmet needs that nobody's discussing. You see potential connections and collaborations that could create value while others focus on immediate competition. Take the example of a Sigma entrepreneur entering a new industry. Instead of immediately positioning himself as an expert or trying to establish dominance, he spends months quietly observing how the industry actually operates versus how it claims to operate. He identifies the real decision-makers versus the apparent leaders. He maps the informal networks that drive outcomes. He understands the unstated rules that govern success. By the time he makes his first strategic move, he's operating with information advantages that his competitors can't match. He knows which partnerships matter, which strategies have already failed, which market gaps exist, and which timing will optimize his entry. His success appears effortless because his preparation was invisible. This observational methodology also applies to personal relationships. While others rush into connections based on surface attraction or immediate chemistry, you're processing compatibility on multiple levels. You're observing how they treat people in service positions, how they handle stress, how they respond to boundaries, and how they behave when they think they have power versus when they feel vulnerable. The key to maximizing your observational Advantage is developing systematic approaches rather than relying purely on instinct. Create mental frameworks for categorizing what you observe. Develop specific questions that guide your attention toward the most relevant information. Practice distinguishing between what people say about themselves and what their behaviors actually reveal. Most importantly, learn to observe without judgment or immediate reaction. The moment you form premature conclusions or emotional responses, you limit your ability to gather additional information. The silent observer maintains cognitive flexibility, allowing patterns to emerge naturally rather than forcing interpretations based on limited data. This doesn't mean becoming passive or disengaged. Strategic silence is active and purposeful. You're participating in interactions while simultaneously operating at a meta level, processing information that others miss because they're too focused on their immediate experience. The ultimate goal isn't to remain forever silent, but to speak and act from a position of superior understanding. When you do engage, your contributions carry weight because they're based on comprehensive observation rather than reactive impulse. You influence through insight rather than volume, and you position yourself strategically rather than desperately. Your silent observation advantage is one of your most powerful tools for navigating complex environments and building sustainable success. Master this foundation, and everything else becomes significantly more manageable. Pattern recognition beyond the surface. Your brain operates like a sophisticated pattern-matching supercomputer, constantly processing information streams that most people can't even perceive. While others see isolated events and random occurrences, you naturally identify the underlying structures that connect seemingly unrelated phenomena. This isn't just pattern recognition. This is pattern recognition operating at levels that transcend conventional analytical thinking. Most people's pattern recognition stops at the obvious level. They notice that certain behaviors lead to certain outcomes, that specific situations tend to repeat themselves, or that particular personality types create predictable dynamics. But your pattern recognition penetrates multiple layers deeper, identifying meta-patterns that govern how patterns themselves evolve and interact. Consider how you process human behavior compared to the average person. They might notice that someone gets defensive when criticized, but you're simultaneously tracking how their defensiveness manifests differently depending on who's delivering the criticism, what the stakes are, what their energy level is, and what other stresses they're managing. You're not just seeing the pattern, you're seeing the pattern of how patterns shift based on contextual variables. This multidimensional pattern recognition gives you predictive capabilities that seem almost supernatural to linear thinkers. You can anticipate how situations will develop, not because you're psychic, but because you're processing probability matrices that others don't even know exist. You're seeing how current patterns intersect with historical patterns to create future outcomes. In business environments, this translates to understanding market dynamics before they become obvious to competitors. You recognize that the success of seemingly unrelated companies follows similar underlying principles. You identify how technological shifts will cascade through industries in ways that aren't immediately apparent. You see how consumer behavior, patterns that emerged in one demographic, will eventually spread to others following predictable adoption curves. For example, a Sigma investor doesn't just analyze individual stocks or market sectors. He's processing patterns of how innovation spreads, how regulatory changes create unintended consequences, how social movements influence consumer preferences, and how these various pattern streams will converge to create opportunities or threats. His investment decisions appear intuitive, but they're actually based on pattern analysis operating at multiple levels simultaneously. The same principle applies to social dynamics. You don't just understand how individual personalities interact. You understand how group dynamics create emergent properties that influence individual behavior. You see how organizational cultures evolve, how leadership changes ripple through hierarchies, and how informal networks adapt to formal structural changes. Your pattern recognition also operates temporally in ways that give you significant advantages. Most people focus on immediate patterns, what's happening now and what might happen next, but you're simultaneously processing historical patterns, cyclical patterns, and generational patterns. You understand that many seemingly new phenomena are actually variations of recurring themes operating on different timescales. This temporal pattern recognition allows you to position yourself strategically during transition periods that confuse others. You can identify when industries are approaching inflection points, when social movements are losing momentum, when leadership transitions will create opportunities, and when market cycles are shifting toward different phases. To maximize your pattern recognition capabilities, develop systematic approaches for organizing and categorizing the patterns you observe. Create mental frameworks that help you distinguish between surface patterns and structural patterns. Practice identifying the variables that cause patterns to shift or evolve. Most importantly, learn to trust pattern recognition even when it conflicts with conventional wisdom or popular opinion. Your ability to see patterns that others miss is only valuable if you're willing to act on insights that aren't yet obvious to the mainstream. This requires confidence in your cognitive processes and willingness to operate independently of social validation. Pattern recognition becomes truly powerful when you can identify not just what patterns exist, but which patterns are stable, which are transitional, and which are about to emerge. This requires processing patterns of patterns, understanding how the pattern-generating mechanisms themselves evolve over time. Your sophisticated pattern recognition is what allows you to navigate complexity with apparent ease, while others struggle with information overload. It's not that you have access to different information. It's that you process the same information through cognitive frameworks that reveal structures invisible to conventional analysis. Reading the unspoken language of reality. While most people navigate the world through explicit communication and obvious signals, you operate with access to a deeper communication layer that reveals what's actually happening beneath surface presentations. This isn't about reading body language or detecting lies. This is about perceiving the energetic and systemic information that flows through every interaction and environment. Your introverted intuition naturally attunes to what people aren't, saying what organizations aren't admitting and what situations aren't revealing through conventional channels. You sense the undercurrents that drive behavior, the hidden motivations that shape decisions, and the unacknowledged dynamics that determine outcomes. In professional environments, you immediately sense which projects have real support versus which ones exist only on paper. You detect when leadership changes are coming before they're announced. You recognize which partnerships are genuine versus which are strategic positioning. This isn't speculation. You're processing micro-signals that others miss because they're focused on official communications. Consider how you evaluate potential business partners. While others rely on presentations, credentials, and verbal commitments, you're simultaneously processing energy patterns, consistency markers, and authenticity indicators. You sense whether their confidence is genuine or compensatory, whether their enthusiasm is sustainable or performative, whether their values align with their actions when nobody's watching. This unspoken communication fluency extends to market dynamics. You can sense when consumer sentiment is shifting before it shows up in data. You detect when industry narratives are losing credibility before competitors recognize the change. You identify emerging opportunities by reading the energy around, what people aren't talking about yet. The key is learning to trust these subtle information streams while developing frameworks for translating intuitive hits into actionable intelligence. Your ability to read unspoken reality becomes a strategic advantage when you can decode it systematically and apply it strategically. This deeper communication layer operates continuously, providing real-time feedback about the authenticity and viability of everything you encounter. Master this skill, and you'll navigate complexity with precision that seems impossible to those operating purely through explicit information. Strategic foresight in a chaotic world. Your introverted intuition doesn't just process current reality. It naturally projects forward, identifying how present patterns will evolve into future scenarios. This strategic foresight operates like sophisticated probability modeling, allowing you to position yourself advantageously before outcomes become obvious to others. While most people react to changes after they occur, you're processing the early indicators that signal what's coming. You recognize when current trends are approaching their peak, when new paradigms are gaining momentum, and when systems are approaching transition points. This temporal intelligence gives you positioning advantages that compound over time. In rapidly changing industries, this foresight allows you to invest energy in capabilities that will become valuable rather than skills that are becoming obsolete. You sense which technologies will achieve adoption, which business models will prove sustainable, and which market dynamics will create lasting opportunities. Your strategic foresight also applies to personal development. You intuitively know which experiences will contribute to your long-term growth versus which ones offer only immediate gratification. You can sense which relationships have development potential and which ones will become energy drains. The key to maximizing strategic foresight is developing confidence in your temporal intuition while maintaining flexibility as new information emerges. Your ability to see around corners becomes a competitive advantage when you trust it enough to act on insights before they're validated by external evidence. This forward-looking capability allows you to operate proactively rather than reactively, positioning yourself where opportunities will emerge rather than competing for resources where everyone else is already focused. The inner compass that never fails. Beyond all external strategies and tactical advantages, your most reliable navigation system is the internal guidance mechanism that operates independently of social conditioning, market pressures, and conventional wisdom. This inner compass doesn't point toward what's popular or profitable. It points toward what's aligned with your deepest understanding of your purpose and potential. Your introverted intuition connects you to an internal knowledge base that processes information through values, principles, and long-term vision rather than immediate circumstances. When external situations become chaotic or unclear, this inner compass provides consistent direction based on your authentic development path. This internal guidance system manifests as a sense of rightness or wrongness about opportunities, relationships, and directions that transcends logical analysis. You can feel when something aligns with your trajectory versus when it's a distraction or detour, even when the logical arguments favor the misaligned option. In career decisions, your inner compass guides you toward roles and projects that utilize your natural capabilities while contributing to your long-term development. It steers you away from opportunities that might offer immediate rewards, but compromise your integrity or limit your growth potential. The challenge is learning to distinguish authentic inner guidance from fear, desire, or social programming that masquerades as intuition, True inner compass direction feels calm, clear, and sustainable rather than urgent, emotional, or dependent on external validation. Developing trust in your inner compass requires testing its guidance through small decisions and observing the outcomes. Over time, you build confidence in this internal navigation system that allows you to operate independently of external approval or conventional paths. Your inner compass becomes most valuable during transition periods when external markers are unreliable and social consensus is shifting. It provides stability and direction when everything else is uncertain. Mastering the art of predictive intelligence. Your introverted intuition reaches its highest expression when it becomes predictive intelligence, the ability to anticipate outcomes, behaviors, and developments with remarkable accuracy. This isn't fortune-telling. It's sophisticated probability assessment based on pattern synthesis that operates faster than conscious analysis. Predictive intelligence emerges when your pattern recognition, observational skills, and inner compass work together as an integrated system. You're not just seeing what's happening now, you're processing how current variables will interact to create specific future scenarios. Your brain naturally runs simulations that most people can't access. In practical terms, this means you can predict how individuals will respond to specific situations before they know themselves. You anticipate market shifts before the data confirms them. You sense when relationships or partnerships will succeed or fail based on underlying dynamics rather than surface compatibility. This predictive capability becomes strategic when you learn to act on insights before they're validated by external evidence. Your accuracy improves through practice and feedback, creating a compound advantage as you build confidence in your predictive assessments. The key is developing systematic approaches for testing and refining your predictions. Track your insights, analyze accuracy patterns, and identify which types of predictions align best with your natural capabilities. Your predictive intelligence becomes a powerful strategic tool when you understand its strengths and limitations. Most importantly, learn to communicate your insights in ways that others can understand and act upon. Your predictive intelligence only creates value when it influences decisions and outcomes in meaningful ways. This mastery of predictive intelligence represents the full development of your introverted intuition as a strategic advantage. It transforms natural cognitive gifts into practical dominance across every domain of your life. The Sigma male's introverted intuition isn't just a cognitive preference, it's an evolutionary advantage that positions you to thrive in an increasingly complex and unpredictable world. While others struggle to adapt to rapid change and information overload, you process reality through sophisticated pattern recognition that cuts through noise and identifies what truly matters. Throughout this exploration, we've dismantled the myth that intuition is some vague, unreliable feeling and revealed it as the precise, sophisticated cognitive tool that it actually is. Your ability to perceive underlying patterns, predict behavioral outcomes, and navigate complexity with apparent ease isn't accident or luck. It's the result of a mental framework that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. The 6 dimensions we've examined: silent observation, pattern recognition, reading unspoken communication, strategic foresight, inner compass navigation, and predictive intelligence work together as an integrated system that gives you unprecedented clarity in a world that confuses and overwhelms most people. This isn't about being better than others, it's about being different in ways that create natural advantages. What sets the truly successful Sigma apart isn't just having these intuitive abilities, but consciously developing and directing them toward meaningful objectives. Raw intuition without strategic application is just interesting perception, But when you combine deep intuitive insight with disciplined action and clear purpose, you create a formula for influence and achievement that operates independently of traditional hierarchies and social structures. The modern world rewards those who can see around corners, anticipate market shifts, understand human nature, and position themselves strategically before opportunities become obvious to the masses. Your introverted intuition gives you exactly these capabilities, but only if you understand how to calibrate and apply them systematically. Remember that developing this sixth sense is an ongoing process, not a destination. Each situation you navigate with intuitive awareness, each pattern you successfully identify, each prediction that proves accurate strengthens the neural pathways that make this process more refined and reliable. You're not just using your intuition, you're actively evolving it. The path of the Sigma male has never been about following others or conforming to external expectations. It's about developing your unique capabilities to their fullest potential and using them to create the life and impact that aligns with your deepest understanding of what's possible. Your introverted intuition is perhaps the most powerful tool in that arsenal. If this deep dive has resonated with your experience and open new possibilities for how you can leverage your natural cognitive gifts, then make sure you're subscribed to this channel. We're building a community of high-value men who understand that true power comes from inner development, strategic thinking, and the courage to operate outside conventional frameworks. The insights we share here aren't available anywhere else because they're specifically designed for the exceptional few who refuse to accept mediocrity and social conditioning as their ceiling. Your subscribe not only gives you access to transformative content, it signals your commitment to continuous evolution and strategic excellence. This is just the beginning of understanding how your mind can become your greatest competitive advantage. Subscribe now, and let's continue building the strategic intelligence that sets you apart from everyone else.